California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Hello everybody, I'm Huell Howser, and here we are in beautiful and picturesque Cambria, or Cambria, depending upon your preference. The locals are kind of split down the middle on it. Anyway, we're up here on the central coast of our great state of California, and we have come here to visit this little community in search of one of its most colorful pages from its historic past. Not only is this a colorful page of history, but it's very unusual as well. And if you're curious as to what we're talking about, what we're in search of, well, you're invited as always to come on along with us as we continue our search together here on the Central Coast for California's gold. To get to our destination, we drove through downtown Cambria and then headed up a residential street. We were on Hillcrest Drive, and it didn't take long before we saw it. Welcome to Nitt Witt Ridge. Okay, here we are. We have arrived, and this is a sight to see. We have an official welcoming committee. Hello, I'm Huell Howser.
Hi, welcome to Nitt Witt Ridge. This is California State Landmark number 939. Now, the state calls this a folk art environment, but the builder there on the toilet seat would have just called it junk, because that's all it is.
And there's the man.
Harold Beal. Art Beal's his name. Now,
Art Beal.
Yeah, he had two nicknames, Tinker Paw, because he liked to tinker with his paws, and Captain Nitwit. Well, that one's kind of obvious. A lot of the neighbors around here thought he was a nitwit for building this place.
Now, I get the feeling that you are giving me the tour right now. You've given this tour before, haven't you?
Well, we try to give it a few times a day. Yeah, I have. I've been doing this since last July. We just started doing this.
All right, now introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, my name's Michael O'Malley. And this is my assistant son, Flame O'Malley.
Hi. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Now, you all own this place?
Yes, my wife and I and family bought it in '99, and my uncle and I have been fixing it up since then, and we just started giving tours since last July.
Now, this is quite a place. It has been here since...
Well, he started building this in 1928, he said, with idiot sticks, a pick and shovel, because he said it takes an idiot to man them.
So Art
started building
Beal,
this.
that's his name?
Yes.
Art Beal. Kind of just, was he an eccentric? Was he a folk artist? Was he trying to upset the neighbors? What was going on here?
I think a little bit of it all, especially trying to upset the neighbors. Oh. And then he liked to just keep himself busy, I think, to keep out of trouble, because he said when you think about your problems too much, you get into trouble that way, so he just kept himself busy.
Well, look, we've got a whole hillside here. This house has how many floors to it?
Well, there's 4 levels. There's really 9 levels on the whole property, but the house is 4 levels and basically 5 or 6 rooms.
Okay, and when you give tours, we have a family over here from LA who just happened to be here at the wrong time when we showed up, so they're going to kind of accompany us on the tour. So can we start and just kind of, boy, look at this gate here. Now this is a work of art right here. Look at this. All right, here we go up the stairs of Nitt Witt Ridge.
Nitt Witt Ridge.
This has a beautiful architectural look to it. He kind of knew what he was doing, didn't he?
Well, he certainly did, and he loved arches, but you know, you better watch your head because it doesn't look like he used ladders.
Now, wait a minute. Here is the official landmark right here.
Yes, this is a California state plaque, California landmark number 939.
So this is a legitimate
Yes.
A piece of folk art here.
And they placed this plaque on his 90th birthday, June 26, 1986.
So when did he die?
He died at the age of 96 in 1992.
So he lived long enough to see this plaque installed.
He certainly did.
Oh boy. Now can we just walk right up through here?
We certainly can. Just watch your head because he didn't use ladders. You almost bump your head all the time.
This is great.
Now he got tired of a lot of different patterns, but you notice he never got tired of abalone shells. I'm telling you, there are abalone shells throughout the whole place.
Every step is covered in abalone. Let's go on up here a little bit further. This is kind of a self-guided tour here. Oh, wow. This just goes on and on and on.
Now, if you look around a little, like this rock, he's got some animal rocks. Alligator, there's bear paw prints. If you really look at some of the rocks, you'll start seeing different things coming out at you. And you know, this was his gardens because he lived off the land. He didn't eat much meat, and well, his mother was a Klamath Indian and his father was Irish. And he never knew his father, and his mother died in the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, so he always said he was an Indian, and he lived off the land, and he grew everything.
So he would have had vegetables up here.
And they said corn, artichoke, squash all through here.
And look back up here. This would have all been a very usable garden area up here.
Oh, it certainly was. It sustained him.
This took a lot of work.
A whole lot of work. And you know, I'll let you in on another secret. You may know all these handrails. Well, those were water pipes, and he was off a water metered system, but they sold that in '97, so there's no water meter here. Well, all these trees fruit off the groundwater. That's his pear tree, his crabapple tree. There's 3 ground springs, so everything takes care of itself.
And all of this was a garden area here.
All of this.
Look at
Gardens
this.
back into here.
Look at this. This looks like a real...
Oh, there's one of Art Beal's friends.
Oh, there's a little deer up here. It's run off before we could see it with the camera, but there was a great little deer up here.
Because he'd call his friends animals. He liked them more than people. And he said he put these cans in here like this with the tabs turned out because he had a problem with gophers in here. Well, he said the wind would blow there, scare the gophers. But,
so the wind would blow through the empty cans.
And scare the gophers away.
Now, I'm looking over here at this whole little... Gosh, there's a whole another world up here. What is this?
Well, this is his original cabin back here. This would have been the front entrance to it. This is the first house he built in 1928.
Wow.
And supposedly he came up here with a woman named Gloria, the love of his life, and there's stories behind that even, but this is where they lived in the beginning.
So this is part of a historical landmark that's kind of fallen down.
He left it like this. Supposedly abandoned this in the 40s or 50s, and his cast iron bed and mattress are still in there. There's clothes rotted in the floor. He abandoned this place, let it overgrow, and that's when he started building Nitt Witt Ridge.
Wow. And what was this little thing over here?
This was his workshop, but you know, I told you all the handrails were water pipes. Well, he ran more electrical than he did water because the water pipes go from the top of the street down, but he's got electricity and lights throughout this whole property.
So he wired it, he did all the water, and this is kind of...
Well, this is a broken down stairway, but where that pipe ends underneath that corrugated metal, he built a wishing well into the side of the hill there. It's about 4 foot in diameter, and on top of the wishing well is an old dryer drum. But what's funny, he said there was an earthquake or a tree fell that hit the cabin, but this was his landfill because he was the trash man in the 40s and 50s. Well, this is where he dumped all the trash in the 40s and 50s, and you can see he built with tin cans. He built with engines, gas tanks, washing machines, tires. That's just what he built behind all these walls.
He was one of the original recyclers.
Yes, he certainly was.
Now, do you give any of the tour yourself, or you just listen to what your dad says?
Just listen to what my dad says.
Because you got to pick this up eventually.
Yeah,
you're going to be giving the tour as
Yeah.
well. All right, now are you all listening to all of this? Because this is very interesting stuff, isn't it?
She wants to pick up some of the cans for recycling at school.
No, no, no. This is a historical landmark. These are supposed to stay right here. But you're learning to recycle. That's good. Now let's go on down here.
All righty.
Because look, we're seeing some great... Oh, look at this shot, Cameron. Look up here at the light reflecting off the abalone shells.
Those are beautiful.
Now that's art. That is art. It's folk art at its finest.
And he collected all these abalone shells from the beach down there, Moonstone Beach in front of the rocks down there, in his 2.5-ton truck.
Look, you can see the beach down here. You can actually see the ocean.
He used to have a full ocean view from that cabin. That's why the mystery, why did he leave this cabin and move up front? Like his personality changed.
Well, the cabin the cabin didn't fall down. It has fallen down over the years.
Yeah.
All right, let's walk back around through. Well, wait a minute.
It goes to the top.
Yeah, let's go
I'll take you
up.
to one of my favorite spots. You know, when you really do start thinking about him digging this out, collecting, sorting the junk, running the pipe, building the house, it's tiring to think about, but he did take coffee breaks, and he made this personal coffee break bench, but you'll have to sit here because he painted a picture with the view.
He would have just sat right here
and stared out
and
the
looked
ocean.
out at the ocean. Wow.
That's what I do all the time, and I love it.
Look how beautiful this little scene is over here with the vines, the flowers, the trees, the picket fence. It's really got a beautiful feel to it. Now it starts.
Now, would you like to go up to his landfill? I can take you a different way.
So this is kind of a dead
That's
end.
another stairway, but this stairway will get us the same way. See, at one time he had 6 or 7 stairways running around and through this place. But now these were all live water lines up until '97 on the whole property.
Oh, so you mean, I thought you meant he made the handrails out of water pipe, but you mean the handrails were actually had water running in them?
Yes, they were actual functioning water lines, and they started up here was where his water meter came in.
Oh my God!
Now this was his landfill. He dumped 20 feet of metal junk and debris under here and just covered it with dirt. So when he was the garbage man, he drove his 2.5-ton truck down on this pad and filled it in. But now when he's in his 70s and 80s, this was a functioning fountain. This sink used to fill up, overflow into that sink, fill up, run into the tub. Now there's a drain at the bottom of that rim on the side of the tub. It'd run out that drain and water the terrace garden below.
All the way down here.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. And again, a whole abalone assemblage here.
Oh yeah, just he kept putting abalones, abalones, abalones.
This is so beautiful
Now
up
this is
here.
supposedly one of the original stoves from Hertz Castle, he said, that they threw away in the early 30s. It is a commercial electric oven, but we don't have written documentation, but he hauled away junk for them in the early days, so it probably is.
So he hauled junk away from Hearst Castle.
Yes, in the early 30s. He said he was one of the only few guys with the permit to drive a truck, so the Hearst hired him to haul away a lot of their junk.
Wow. Again, another little shed or shack or something here. This is like a stack of...
That's rims from a car that he concreted together and put a post down. Now the neighbor tells me when he's in his 90s, he said he was going to take that washing machine agitator, make it spin, put a light up there, and make a lighthouse out of this pillar.
This is great. What are you looking at over here?
Just checking it out. Look at the natural flowers. It's very pretty.
Look at this. This is another beautiful shot. Just looking down the side here, a little natural garden down there.
Yeah, it's really nice. Really nice. A lot of his perennials still come back every year. His same plants and flowers that he's planted just keep coming back.
Now I'm looking over here. He had fancy neighbors who kind of built around him.
We're inside his backyard. Now he called all these neighbors Johnny come latelys because he said he was here first when this was a forest, and all these people were coming in and changing it, trying to get him out of here. Because I think they wanted to develop this land for the ocean view. They were tired of the crazy old man.
So he was here first. The neighbors came second. And they literally built right up to his property line. But he never changed his lifestyle. He stayed the eccentric collector he was, even though the neighbors must have just been going crazy.
Oh, they were, but that made him even more so. He'd go to the council meetings, everything. He was constantly defending himself and just carrying on, being the town character.
And the town never really forced him to change or clean up anything, did they? I mean...
no, but he had the county in here fighting with the building inspectors, and he said it was all grandfathered, but in '28, there was nothing up here, Huell, and they didn't pull permits much back then, so he just kept doing his own thing. But now this whole area we're walking on, if you just dig down an inch or two, you think you hit a rock, but you'll hit an old master cylinder from a car.
So this is a collection of stuff from this landfill that we are standing on here.
Yes.
So he's been, wow, this is beautiful stuff.
Well, yeah.
All of this is underneath us over here. This is
here,
all
everywhere.
a landfill
All
here.
of it. For 20 feet down, they say 3 or 4 or 5 cars are buried down there. He said he buried 3 of them himself. Trucks that burn up on him.
Does your dad send you to do some digging to find some?
No.
Well, you unearth some of that stuff when you drive your mini bike.
Yeah.
You find this
I
stuff
just find
all
stuff.
around
I just
here.
bump on stuff and I just find it. I'm like, whoa.
Pulls it right
this
up
new
out of the
stuff.
ground.
Yeah.
Now that's supposedly from Hertz Castle too, this concrete piece here.
Now
Something
that
they-
looks like it
Yeah.
could be from Hearst Castle. That's beautiful.
You know, at one time they said he had Marion Davies' bathtub up here, Phoebe Hearst's chair, and even some of the Hearst dishes up there the neighbor can remember. She can remember people walking off with them.
Well, that's part of the legend, isn't it?
Yeah, well, certainly.
Something built into the side of the mountain here. What is this?
Well, to me it looks like refrigerator doors, but there's
What,
room.
those white doors there?
Yeah, those look like refrigerator doors that are sitting right next to that little building. Now in that little building's a toilet and sink and it's a workshop. You can see the level. But those white doors, supposedly he built tunnels on here in the 30s, he told people. Then he has another story that he kept kennels for the Army during World War II that he sealed up and let overgrow. So if we ever get up to shoring that room up, I want to drill a hole in those doors. Now maybe full of roots are caved in, but who knows? Maybe it's the entrance to his tunnel.
Have you ever tried to find tunnels? Do you think there are tunnels all through here?
I don't know. I hear rumors. A lot of people that he talked to over the years, he said he dug tunnels on here in the 30s, but I still haven't found anything.
See, I have a feeling that a lot of the lure of this place are the legends that have grown up about it. Some true, some not true.
Yeah, some true, some not true. But he was a truthful man, and you can kind of tell when he's talking in interviews when he's kind of pulling people's legs and when he's being serious. So the tunnel thing, I really don't know. But in there, it does look like he sealed up maybe a workshop or something.
Now we're climbing through some more of the... Watch your head here. He had low overhangs.
Well, he was a short guy.
Where are we now? What are we looking at?
Well, you know, I call this the hillbilly patio because in pictures from the early 70s, he used to have an indoor couch out here with all the stuffing coming out, sheets and blankets hanging everywhere. And he had a PG&E spool for a tabletop there, and that's where he'd bring people in off the street to entertain.
So this was kind of like his little indoor, outdoor... Look at this wonderful tree that we're under. This is a big old tree.
Yeah, it's a California redwood. This is where he'd entertain people and he'd feed people underneath this tree.
Wow, this is great. And look at this view looking out over here. This is kind of an interesting look, looking down at all the different levels that you can see going down the side of the hill. Boy, you have to be in pretty good shape to live at Nitt Witt Ridge or visit here.
Well, you know why he lived so long? He just kept walking, but you did. It kept him in good shape all his life.
Come on, our group from LA is kind of straggling. We didn't promise this was going to be easy.
It isn't. It's a workout.
All right, what are we looking at now?
Well, now I'm going to take you over here. Well, you noticed probably by now Art Beal had a good sense of humor. He's got some toilet seat picture frames. Well, to complement that, this is what remains of his old two-seated outhouse. With his and her toilet sitting in here, he said he could sit here and have conversations.
Oh, that's amazing.
But
Was this really an outhouse?
Yeah, it worked. This is spring water that runs under it, and there's a neighbor. He's 85. He still lives in this neighborhood. This used to have a solid door on it, and said Art Beal be using this thing, and sometimes when you get a group of people down there, he'd kick the door open and start talking to him while he's sitting on the outhouse.
So he was, he did have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And this place sat empty for a long time and deserted. So a lot of his stuff disappeared, didn't it, probably?
Since 89, it sat here till 99, just with no one here abandoned, no fence or anything.
So wait a minute. This sat totally empty and deserted for 10 years.
10 years.
And people could just wander through?
And take
Well,
whatever
they
they
probably
wanted.
took a lot of stuff, didn't they?
They took a lot, but you know, I'm surprised there's anything left. I mean, anything. To me, people did have a little respect for this place because they didn't burn it down or write graffiti all over. Or
Nobody
take everything.
vandalized it.
A teeny bit, but not too bad like you'd think to be unguarded for that long. They did have some respect.
And look at this great little, just this little gate. Everything just has so much... Well, look, these are golf balls
They
up
certainly
here.
are.
And just pieces of rebar and a bent pipe. But it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's just neat. It's neat.
We're inside the house and we're heading toward
Well, Art Beal's bedroom.
his bedroom.
Yep.
And look, there's still...
Well, these are his actual clothes that we found when we came in here in '99. They were strewn all over the floor. And there's shoes.
So these are his actual clothes.
They certainly are.
Still here.
Still here. We just hung them up. And there's a few pictures and books in the library, him in his bathrobe when he got a little older. And the newspapers are from '61 and '64.
Look at this old lamp, this
This
old
is
radio, all of this stuff in the windowsill, the old...
That's his old desk with things still in it. We haven't gone through that yet.
What do you mean you haven't gone through?
Well, I want to leave it pretty much the way he left as much as possible, because I'll tell you something, Huell. Art Beal caught his medicine chewing tobacco, and he chewed tobacco even when he got old and bedridden, and he used to have a spittoon sitting up here. Well, he got sloppy and missed. That's the tobacco still left behind from '89 or before on the side of the desk here.
This?
Yep.
Now that's a piece of history I'm sorry I even found out about.
Sorry about that.
We're walking into the kitchen.
Or the refueling station, as he'd call it. Now, you know, when we came here in '99, this was almost eerie to me, because his canned goods are still in here from '99.
Wait a minute. These are the original
Canned
kidney
goods.
beans, carnation milk. I don't even want to guess
I think that's barbecue sauce,
what was in there. Quaker oats.
And you know he's not feeling too regular, because over in this other cabinet, he even has some Metamucil and just dehydrated pickles are still left behind.
Wait a minute, pull out the dehydrated pickles. Oh my gosh.
But that's what's neat. You get a rough sense of how he lived, Huell, but you know, I don't know how rough it is. He was an old bachelor. It may have been this dirty when he was living in it.
Now look in here, you've got cabinets. This won't even
Yeah,
open.
that one, I think. Oh,
Yeah,
you
they're
have to open
both-
them like this.
Yeah, this is all kind of frozen in time here. Look at the dishes in here. They've been washed and cleaned up a little bit.
I was going through here one day and I found his zipper collection. So he'd cut up his clothes for rags, save his zippers to repair his clothes or find another use. Now, you know, my grandma grew up on the farm in Oklahoma, lived through the Depression. She'd save strings, buttons, zippers. A lot of people are telling me their parents and grandparents did. You know, we complain about landfills and get more disposable every day. We could learn a lot from the old timers, but all this is his things.
How would you describe this?
Eccentric. I'm getting worried that my husband's going to get some ideas. It scares me a little bit.
What are you looking at back there?
We can reproduce some of this stuff at home, I think.
See?
The terraces, little gardens.
But you know what it does? It really shows you how he saw use in everything.
Everything.
Now that's a lesson for the kids. It's a lesson really for all of us to pick up on, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. It's a nice way to live, and I think we could all learn from it. There's a little bit of Art Beal in everybody, though, I guess.
Now we're on the terrace, and this was a significant piece in the Art Beal story.
Yeah, he used to come out here and relax all the time, but you know, the way the house looks, people have been coming by here for years. So if you happen to drive by out here and look at this house, he'd walk out here and he'd size you up by looking at you. He's going to decide if he likes you or not by your looks. Now, if he didn't like your looks, he'd stand out here and shake his fist at you and say, "Move along, small change." He may even throw some rocks at you.
Oh.
Because there's some neighbors that I've talked to that still live in this neighborhood today. He used to throw rocks at all the time. But then, you know, the other half or three-quarters of people I talked to never saw the house before. Say you walk out here, look at him. "Oh, come on in. You're my kind of people." He'd bring people through here, give them tours, tell them stories, make them lunch. They just loved him, said he was a kind man.
So he could size people up very quickly.
Very quickly. Sometimes, though, like everybody, I think he might have made mistakes, you know, judging a book by its cover, like a lot of people judge this house by the street, and there's so much more behind it. So I don't know if he's right or wrong in that sense, but yeah, he'd size you up by looking at you.
And he was nice most of the time.
Most of the time. You know, he didn't like people, I guess, that thought they were highfalutin or above everybody else. Art Beal was a man that was down to earth, maybe from his upbringing, but if you thought you were above, that's the people he really didn't like, I guess.
Well, this has been just about as much fun as I've ever had. This is an amazing place. Now tell us what the future holds for good old Nitt Witt Ridge.
Well, it's still a California landmark, number 939, a folk art environment. I bought it in '99, my wife and family and I, and we've just been restoring it since then. Now, we've been giving tours since last July, and it's...
So wait a minute, people can come here on tours every day, every week?
We give them daily from 9 to 5 by reservation only. They have to call first.
Okay, so we'll put the number on the screen that people can call, and they can come by here just like our family from LA did today. Did they call ahead or just drop by?
Well, these people happen to drop by.
Uh-oh.
Well, if you get lucky and I'm out here, you can just drive by.
But otherwise, you can call and make a reservation and come on these tours, and you're just slowly, room by room, level by level, kind of restoring, kind of bringing it back without losing the kind of faded glory of the place.
Yeah, trying to just like preserve what's left, you know, and just whatever we have to restore, we do, but we do it as minimal as possible because I want to keep the feeling here that's here.
Well, let's pay tribute once again. The fellow's name was?
Arthur Harold Beal.
He moved here in?
1928.
And he died here in?
He died in this county at the age of 96 in 1992, but he lived in the house till 1989.
Wow. This is a wonderful, wonderful example, not only of folk art, but it is a fine example of California's gold. Goodbye, everybody, from Nitt Witt Ridge. So he wasn't crazy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not by any
I mean, he
stretch.
was eccentric, and the best definition of the word, but certainly a very literate and well-spoken man.
Yeah, a lot of people even say he's a genius, you know, because they're a little off. But yeah, and just everything he did here was creation. He didn't believe in destroying our environment or the animals or anything. He was just kind of a creative guy that kept himself busy.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Howser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure. If you'd like to see it again or share it with your family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, it's available on video cassette and on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727 and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.